Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. Got a few things to cover here, so we're just going to dive straight in. The first relates once again to Free Comic Book Day. Now the situation with this is still a little unclear with regards to it is yet to go up digitally for on any of their services like Dark Horse Digital. Someone in the comments on my last news video said that they messaged Dark Horse and they said the 25th. Obviously I haven't found that like sort of public statement that they've said that that's when it is. I did see this on their Facebook. Someone asked, when will the comic be available digitally? Free Comic Book Day has been delayed in the UK by 2 weeks. Same date as the UK shops next week, Dark Horse on Dark Horse Digital, Comixology, etc. Now, if you look, the reason I had this up here is because Forbidden Planet is the main line of comic stores in the UK. They are doing their rescheduled Free Comic Book Day events on the 28th. So that to me is what their post on Facebook is saying, that the book will be available on the 28th. But apparently someone also contacted them and said it was the 25th. So I don't know what the full situation is on that. I'm guessing it's going to be either one of those days. Either way, they have said this week at some point it will be available. And like they linked here, digital.darkhorse.com. Very simple about how you get your hands on the comic, but I know some people are still waiting for it, so there you go, there's your information. Sometime this week, maybe the 25th, but probably the 28th. We'll see how it goes. The Kickstarter is still doing pretty well. There's no real update here. It's at 6.888 million, so it hasn't quite hit 7 million, which is the most recent stretch goal. So we're still a little bit off the Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide, but within the next day or two that's going to happen. We've been at, I think, just over 100k per day, so by tomorrow, or at the very least sometime just after the day following that, we'll be hitting 7 million, and hopefully we'll be finding out about the last couple of stretch goals, because there's only 10 days to go and we're going to see where it ends up. At this stage it looks like we're going to see probably I'd say somewhere between 8 and 10 million maybe at the end. A lot depends on how heavily it kicks off in the last couple of days. The other thing to talk about here is the big piece of news for this video, which is probably what I have in the thumbnail and so on, and that is news relating to Avatar: Beasts of the Four Nations, creatures from Avatar and Korra. This is a book that everyone has been waiting for ages. We've known about it for a while now. It has been it's had like 3 separate release dates so far, and we haven't known about it for like that long in the grand scheme of things. But it's been at February 22nd/23rd for quite a while now. This has felt like the sort of locked in date for quite a while. But it seems like this has changed once again. Now, the reason I was kind of set on this path was that I had a few people in the comments sort of mention to me that, like, hey, the listing for Beasts of the Four Nations isn't up on Penguin Random House anymore. And I didn't really think much of that, because I saw that the listings were still up on a lot of other places. But then I checked somewhere yesterday and it wasn't up. I checked a few places again, I'm like, okay, it still seems to be up there. But checking now, and especially because of something that I saw that I'll show you in just a second, it seems like this book has been heavily delayed. Now, there's no new date that I can tell you guys, but it seems like something has happened and this book is not available anymore. It is not really coming out for this date, at least right now, and we don't really know what the status is. So, Edelweiss is where I saw this. So I just searched Avatar and then did it by sort of like newest to kind of oldest. So obviously this is one of the furthest off books into the future, in that it's February next year. But as you can see here, there's a kind of crisscross pattern going through it, and the status of this book is postponed indefinitely. So that's pretty ominous, you know, big red letters. That's the first time I've ever seen that on an Edelweiss listing. Now, I might have skimmed by it before, but in terms of a book that sort of has hype behind it, that hasn't been just cancelled due to like lack of popularity, I've never seen this before. So both of them, both the standard and the deluxe version, are said to be postponed indefinitely. And as you can see here, all these other books are forthcoming, out currently. So, you know, it's kind of notable to see that in red. Then it kind of gets worse as you go through it. So here is Amazon.com. As you can see here, it's unavailable. It says temporarily out of stock, but you can see here there's no one offering it for sale. Pretty much the same situation on Amazon UK. Also temporarily out of stock, aka not available. As I said before, there's no listing for it on Penguin Random House anymore. It's just not there. Dark Horse, of course, have never had a listing for this book up. It's weird in that they've never acknowledged that this book exists, even though it's been a few months that we've known about it. They've never put this up on their website. Now, to be fair, they also don't have currently up the book 3 art book, even though that is a thing, but we don't know what the situation is. They're just generally a little slower to put the stuff up, so I don't think it means that much. They have this book, but this again has been delayed. We've known about it for a while. Here's Barnes and Nobles. Again, this is the listing for the book, which you can't search for anymore. But if you just do a Google search, of course, the page is sort of still there. And it says here, sorry, we couldn't find what you're looking for. So they had a page, it is now gone. Similarly, here's just bookshop.org. Its page for the book is gone. Target, product not available. Book Depository, as you can see here, Beasts of the Four Nations, both of them, is now unavailable, is what they're saying. And that's just the Kickstarter. And yeah, it seems like the idea is that any of the websites that sort of keep themselves updated quite regularly does not have this book available anymore. So at the very least, it shows that I think something has happened here. This is not a case that this book has just gone out of stock or something like that. The fact that listings are down pretty much across the board on a lot of the big websites, like Penguin Random House is actually in reflection a really big one, Barnes & Noble is a big one, and the fact that it's not available on Amazon. Huge places where this book wouldn't be available, it is not showing up anymore. Now, this still says, it doesn't say anything counterpoint to that, but this was slow to update from the initial announcement, and it's I guess going to be slow to see what happens here. Now, obviously it is postponed indefinitely, which is not cancelled. But what it means is that they don't have a set release date for this book at this point. Now, what exactly does that mean? I'm not sure. But the problem with that, if this book, like say, were to get cancelled, is that like, are you seriously going to mess up people collecting the deluxe editions, like the collection? Because we know there's 6 books. There's 6 books in that collection based on what we've seen. And I think so far, the spine image that we've been creating has been accurate to that image. So there is 6 books in that set. If this doesn't come out, then are we just not going to be able to complete the deluxe set? My guess is that in relation to that, we don't have the book 4 balance one announced yet. And the question has always been like, what are they really doing with the schedule here? Why is this book basically releasing on more or less the exact same? I think why is this book releasing the week before the book 3 art book deluxe edition? That didn't make a lot of sense. Why are they putting out what likely is the 6th book of the set as like the 4th release? It really didn't make much sense. This book should be the 6th one to be released. And so in February is when the book 3 one's coming out. The book 4 one hasn't been announced yet, but probably will get announced for maybe June, July, August, maybe September. It's been a little bit weird. Some of them have had only a 4-month gap. Sometimes it's been longer. But you know, we'd expect for sure in 2022 to see the book 4 book. So, spreading it out with that sense, this book realistically, it probably makes more sense to have a release date that is more like the end of next year. So I would say sort of like October 2022 at the absolute earliest. So obviously in that sense, we're actually quite a few months off sort of getting, I suppose, official solicitations for like October next year. So it seems like what's happened here is just that this book was either announced way too early, or something behind the scenes has happened that has caused this to happen. I would definitely at this stage, I think, want Dark Horse to say something about it, because it is publicly available. I had a few people like argue in the comments before previous times when I've discussed the delays to this book that like, hey, Dark Horse haven't officially acknowledged this book, so it's not really officially announced. And it's like, it's not really officially announced. You can see here on this Previous World, like, official comic website, like, you can order this book. Comic stores were able to like order this book. It's up on Amazon and all these other websites. It's not anymore, but it was. So it shows you that like this thing was out there. So it's a weird one, definitely. Like you can see here, actually, there was the date it was originally announced for, 13th of October 2021. I think 13th of October 2022, like I said, makes more sense as the release date. The Amazon.com are saying January 2nd, 2079, which I think is just their generic, we don't have a date for this book date. So yeah, this is interesting because we've obviously experienced, as Avatar fans, a lot of books getting delayed, but we've never, I think, seen this happen, where what's happened is that the book has been sort of temporarily sort of like put on hold, cancelled, where like it technically now does not have a release date, and we will get an update at some point, I assume. So we'll see what they do here. But again, the weirdness with this book has always, I think, been that, okay, it just sort of snuck out there that this book exists. Everyone at this stage sort of knows about it, but it hasn't been officially acknowledged. You'd think this book, which is completely brand new content, new information, the whole thing, you'd think that they would have put out a news article marking the announcement of this book, just because it is going to be 100% new, so much more interesting than so many of the other books coming out. Which I suppose is the other angle on this, which is that, wow, not a lot going right for us as Avatar fans. Even though Avatar Studios is this amazing thing that we're looking forward to on the horizon, that the one proper new book has just been postponed indefinitely, meaning that the only sort of new content book now really is Chibi's Volume 1. And then at this stage now, the Kickstarter, that book, which is also, I suppose, due out in February, that's what we're looking forward to in terms of new canon content. So I'm not sure what the situation is here at all. So I'm pretty much just going to wrap it up there. Again, sort of recap of the information. According to a combination of Facebook and then the UK delay information, we're going to get the official digital release on Dark Horse Digital of the Avatar and Korra Free Comic 2021 on either the 28th, which is what publicly is out there, or what someone said to me in the comments in my previous video, the 25th. Either way, at the very least, you're going to be waiting a few more days, but it might be more towards the end of the week. Again, I will put up a video, like pretty much, even if it's the only piece of news that there is in that video, I'll put up a video announcing when that thing goes up. So you can see, here's the link to it, it's up, you can get it for free, because I know people really do care about it. So what are your thoughts on that? And yeah, Postponed Indefinitely, and a lot of unavailable, not listed, or this page is gone type thing. Product not available. What do you make of this? Where do you see this book now coming out? Do you sort of agree with me that it is going to just be more in line with what we'd expect of the set of 6 books, where February is where one of them's coming out. It would make sense for July, sort of August for another one, and then fit the last one in right towards the end of next year. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.